Terrible.
I don't have a light on my head.
It's a camera, not a wand.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you, bye. Love you. It's impossible to do any of this wrong. The only idea of it is to get a little bit of this information around to other people around the world. None of us are experts, myself included. Well, you guys might be experts, but we've all got our own little bit of experience from wherever we've done all over the world. So don't worry about what it sounds like or if it sounds right or anything like that. There's a little bit of wind, so all I'd ask is that you hold this quite close to your face. They have all been cleaned, so if you put it on your chin, it doesn't matter. If you hold it over here and go, you can take it, Amy, it's not going to fucking get it. It's not a snake, so it's not going to bite you. Just put it near your face. Don't it's not one of them. We're not doing that. So, what experiments are we doing here today? What are we doing?
We're investigating different techniques.
Okay.
For how do you say it?
Smoke cooling.
Smoke cooling. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the techniques that you guys got taught way back when you started? When did everybody start firefighting? How long have you been firefighting for?
That's a couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah.
What are you laughing?
30. Started when he was 6.
33 years ago.
33 years. And what about yourself?
Quite a while. Yeah.
16 years.
16.
22.
22.
2004, so more than 20.
Yeah, so I've only been about 17 or 18 years. So what were you guys taught about structural firefighting when you first started? And did you all learn it here, or what were you taught?
It was in the fire region, and we were taught to 3D gas cool.
3D gas cool.
So short bursts.
Short pulse in.
Yeah.
All the way to the seat of the fire and then make an attack, or okay.
Yeah.
And that was just just short pulsing, the pulsing robots that we make in the UK. What about anybody else? What were you first taught?
I was thinking not 3D gas cooling. It was more. We call it poeieren. It's straight stream.
Straight stream, yeah.
And put it on the deck and move it around, so like that.
So more of an American approach, as people would
American
think
approach,
of it,
yeah.
and now.
Yeah.
What sort of branches did you have back then? Were they all straight bore branches?
It was a Rosenbauer Nipiro.
Okay.
Rosenbauer Nipiro.
Okay.
Not familiar with that brand?
No, I'm familiar with Rosenbauer, but not the Nipiro. And did they have flow rates on them, or?
They had flow rates, but it was on the handle.
Yeah. So we have flow rates on the handle still in the UK, but we don't use, some services will use, we don't use flow meters very much. I see that you guys had fitted a flow meter before you split off onto your branches there.
Yeah.
How much do you guys work on flow versus pressure versus, do you use your compound gauges and all that sort of stuff? Just get really fundamental basics here, but just so people can follow and understand with some of the stuff we're later doing.
But
how much of a focus do you have on actual flow?
Nowadays days.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Why?
Because if the pressure is not right, then the flow is also not right.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to. You have to get it right at the beginning.
So what lines are we running out here? So in the UK we have 45s, 52s, 64s, 70s. You're using 38s here today?
We use 38s for the tests here, and more fire brigades along the Netherlands use 38s.
Okay.
Common
is that common?
Yeah, well,
38s?
common it used to be for low pressure 52s.
Okay.
But again, we grew up. At least I did. I grew up within the fire service with the high pressure hose reel.
Yeah. Yep.
We did everything with the high pressure hose reel.
So we're still there, and a lot of people will hear this and go, "No, we're not, Pete." Most places we are still 2BA hose reel, and back then was it because you're running 22s now? Is that 22 mil hose reel on that truck?
Yes.
Yeah.
22 or 19.
22 or 19, and is that standard for most? Would you say?
For most brigades, it's standard. Nowadays, we see more and more brigades switching from high pressure hose reel to a what they call a working reel. So it's a one hose reel at the back of the apparatus with flowing about 250 liters a minute. But
that is still a high pressure hose reel.
No, it's low pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a low pressure hose reel.
Yeah, it's low pressure. Yeah.
Okay, and they've got pistol grips on those ones there. Would that be a standard branch?
No, it's very different from each fire region.
Okay.
Some prefer the pistol grip, and some just like on the pistols on the low pressure hoses. Yeah.
So coming back to what we're doing with these experiments, so we're doing a series of experiments, similar fire load, and I think they're aiming for 10 megawatts, but they're achieving about 2.5, 3, maybe something like that.
Yeah, at the max. Yeah.
And this is an long L-shaped block, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got a corridor all the way down, and then we break off right at the end, which is where the seat of the fire is.
Exactly.
It's about a 20-meter corridor.
Yeah. What I love about that is, historically in training, we've got into like I would call a training scar, where you see the fire, but you're not making an attack on it. And historically, I always say, if you see fire, hit fire. You know, there's no point. You don't need to go all the way down to it. But that beautiful L-shaped analogy that you give to it forces the firefighter to travel down the block.
Yeah.
So we're getting it to build up, bringing that thermal layer all the way down, and we've got a side door controlling it as well.
Yeah.
On the other side to set to fire conditions. What's the trigger for when you guys are going in? What sort of baseline? And again, some of these numbers might be wrong. It's okay. They'll read the thing when it comes out anyway. But what are we looking to achieve before we commit firefighters? What conditions are we looking
Smoke
for?
density is very important, but
Okay.
also the temperature in the smoke layer.
Okay.
So it's about approximately 300 degrees. So
300 degrees.
for this test. Yeah.
Okay. And we've got temperature probes. I think we've got 4 or 5 sets all the way down the corridor. I was just looking at the screen.
Yeah. Every
Over
5 meters there's a temperature console.
Every 5 meters.
Every 5 meters.
So they're going in. We're not using any smoke curtains on the entrance.
No, not yet.
Talk to me about what the training looks like in terms of smoke control versus door control versus ventilation profile. What's the training that gets delivered to the crews out here? Are smoke curtains heavily in use? Do people understand them?
More and more.
More and more?
Yeah.
Are they on every appliance? Is there one? Is there two?
No, not standard. But every region chooses its own path,
Yeah.
depending on the buildings they're confronted with.
Okay.
So you're seeing that smoke curtains are becoming more common.
Okay. For people that are unfamiliar, I mean, we did a podcast with Michael Wright probably 2 years ago, but for people that are unfamiliar with it, and again, it's not about getting it right or getting it wrong, but what's the interpretation of why we would use them over here? Just to see interested, like how the information filters out, because I may have got a completely different story, neither's better or worse, but like, because we've both got a thing, and we both might be using it differently. So if you were to use it, what's the understanding of what you're achieving with it and where you might use it, whether that be standard residential, whether it be high-rise, whatever it might be?
In the region where I work,
Yeah.
we will use it to set on the fire on the other side of the smoke stopper
Okay.
to get everybody out of the building about a little bit high rise.
So yeah, we're talking about. So would you put that on the stairwell and the room,
Yeah.
or just on the room?
No, both.
Both.
Both. Yes.
Yeah, that's something we've certainly started doing. Talking about obviously stairwell being the most important compartment in the building, trying to protect that for egress and everything like that. Do you put anyone on door control? So do you go in team of 2, or you always have?
We do. Basically, we have normally we have a 6-man apparatus. So
Okay.
crew commander, driver, BA team 1, BA
6
team
is
2.
standard riding everywhere.
6
No
is
5s, no 4s.
6 is standard.
Yeah.
Four is
Also
the-
force.
It's the shortcut.
We have 4s everywhere,
Yeah.
Okay.
and sometimes 2s,
Okay. Yeah.
which is very
Yeah.
strange
Yeah.
and dangerous.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts,
Yeah.
not anybody else's. So
The
6.
standard is 6,
Okay.
and
So if we're turning up with 6 at this, so this is the centre of a long house, kitchen fire at the end on the right, maybe. What would those 6 people be doing?
So you have a BA team, numbers 1 and 2. They
Yeah.
will go in. Number 3, they will
Door control.
assist numbers 1 and 2.
But so it is a team of 3, but only 2 go in.
No, team of 4.
Okay, sorry, it's
4.
one team of 4,
Yeah.
One
not
team
2
of
2s.
No.
No.
Okay, and they commit together. You go through entry control. Entry control. Do you have an entry control officer?
We do not have an entry control officer.
Entry control. I hate entry control. My personal views. Everywhere in the UK, we have entry control officers
Why's that?
But, well, entry control officers and again, correct me if I'm wrong, they sort of came out of the UK from some health and safety executive inspections post-London, couple of fatalities there,
Okay.
and we started using the recording of entry and all that sort of stuff. Why do I hate them? I personally feel the competency of a BA wearer. So when we assess you, we test your turnaround time, we test your air management, and you, as a competent firefighter, should be able to manage your air.
Yeah.
I think it would be a waste of time for me to get you to watch his air as well as him watching his air. Because when I assess him, I'm going to check that he's watching his air. He manages to turn around. He's never alone.
No.
There's always two of him.
Yeah.
So I think it's a waste of a person.
Yeah.
And I think you would be better placed on that door.
Yeah.
So over here you don't use, again, I know it's an extreme statement, but nowhere uses entry control?
No, sometimes the crew commander, depending on the personal preferences or the danger he or she might think will be inside.
Yeah.
So he thinks or she thinks it's necessary to be with the guys doing the dirty job.
Okay. I'm assuming they assist with managing the line and everything at the door as well.
Yeah.
What's their brief at the door? Are they, you go in and they close straight away? Or are they...
Yeah,
I mean, they will have radio communication with you anyway, but so the question I'm asking, I suppose, is you turn up, is your immediate approach anti-ventilation until we're ready and then we go in? Would you close the door straight away when you arrive?
Answer is yes.
Yeah. Answer is yes. I love that. Answer is yes. No question. Answer is yes.
That's a standard.
Well,
Absolutely.
It's a standard for us, and it came with...
We don't really teach that much. You see some people do it.
Yeah.
Some people understand it, and I'm not being condescending, but some people understand anti-ventilation, and it's way back, you know, in James Braidwood's books. If you look right back, he would give that brief to police officers. He would say, if you're first on scene, close all the doors and all the windows.
Yeah.
We don't really teach that very much anymore, but at our National BA Challenge, you would get extra points if, you know, crew of 4 turns up, they run off first thing, close the door.
Yeah.
You know, extra points
Yeah.
because you're suffocating it down. So everything gets set up. Team of 3, team of 4 is ready. So what's that fourth person doing then? Sorry. So you've got 1 on door control.
Yeah.
You've got 2 in. What's fourth doing?
Yeah, by the longer way, the third person go in,
Yep.
and the fourth person is door control.
Okay, so a long stretch like this, we would have me and you down low advancing at the front. How far back can that other person be? Does distance matter?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
hose good enough for we have contact through hose or
You have to communicate with each other.
okay?
If that's not possible, the distance is too far.
So but you do have in
And
you have
the
in radio
The rule
comms.
of thumb is that between numbers 1 and 2 is a maximum of 3 meters.
Okay.
And between number 2 and 3, it's not that
Prescriptive?
hardly prescribed.
It's
No,
not less- yeah.
because if number 1 and 2 do the job right,
Yeah.
cooling the gases, it's less dangerous. For number
Yeah,
3
because for
to
me,
do-
like the branches between the fire and me anyway. I'm number 3.
yeah,
It doesn't really matter where, as long as I don't get lost. I've
Yeah.
got the line anyway, so why would I get
in contact
lost?
with your line. Yeah,
Okay.
And it gives me the flexibility as number 3 to move the hose line through friction points, stuff like that.
Perfect.
All meaning
Absolutely.
to it.
Yeah. We had a little bit of a laugh and a joke earlier about
SCBA salsa.
Can we do that together? Does it-
no more over here. We don't do that
No.
now. No. Why? Safe. Why are you not safe?
Well, this is again.
Sorry, were you taught that when you started? You did do that? When did it stop?
I think we all
We all
learn
did.
it.
we all did.
Okay.
It's from the 4 or 5 years now that we stopped doing that.
Very short period of time that it's.
Yeah.
And pretending we don't. Well, I mean, we'll all have a different version of understanding and logic, and why not? But why don't we do it anymore?
We have-
Why is it not necessary?
Because we have alternatives.
Okay.
Before that, we had not low pressure like procedure. We were more on high pressure.
Okay.
How do you say it?
It was our culture to use high pressure, and
Was it culture?
it was. It
What, a
was in the
high
correct-
pressure line standing up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
it was.
it's easy to drag around.
Yeah. It
And
was
the
easy,
low pressure is a
fast.
bit heavier.
So
it's-
you only went down because of a heavier line?
Yeah, and when it was a bit hot.
I was going to say nothing to do with the fact that all the heat's up here and it's cool down there.
Basically,
And also with your thermal imaging camera, you see nothing up here
No.
and you see everything down here.
if you boil it down to the main point, it's we were taught to stand upright and do this, but in practice, when we had a real fire, this didn't make sense because we would get hot really fast. We wouldn't see anything. So again, and it's largely by the teachings of Ricardo and the National Fire Academy that taught us to investigate our beliefs. Is it true what we think that is true?
Well, for me, I mean, you mentioned about the hose line. Yeah, obvious one. It's heavy, but reading flow paths, looking at the layout of the room, you can't, you know, visibility. You can't do any of that. Thermal regulation. No. You know, I always teach. We teach radiation, as in we think about hazards, chemicals like radiation, like from a school, a chemical. And we always say time distance shielding. Do you teach that, time distance shielding? Yeah. So think the same, because fire is heat radiation. I always say time, we less time in there. Distance, keep away from it, out of the flow path. And shielding, use walls, stay low. You know, don't go where the fire is. And that it didn't cross that chasm. It didn't cross that bridge. That bit of thought, like you say, exploring our beliefs and going, well, why?
Is it true what we think is true? And again, there are many beliefs still today. Firefighters saying, and I hear this a lot. Firefighters saying, "Well, if it gets hot, I will go down automatically." Mate, if you get hot, it's
too late. You're already feeling it. Yeah. Your kit's not failing, but your kit has already reached its thermal capacity. It's got through there now. Now you're getting hot. It's too late. So one of the pushbacks we will hear in the UK is the physical demand. You know, flexibility, mobility. We don't teach or encourage firefighters to. I mean, we kind of teach them to stay fit-ish, but it's difficult. It is hard to stay down in that position and drag a line. So
just practice.
It is practice. 100% it's practice. It's a behavior that we're simply not used to. So when you're teaching your new recruits now, do you still teach this though?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
But what about if I'm on the first floor? Because I when people go, throw it out, I'm like, I'm not saying do it all the time, because it's not the best way to progress. But I still think it is a tool in the toolbox.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I say, right, going in, locate the stairs, first floor. On the first floor, uneven floorboards, this place is under development, this place is building works or something like that. So I still think we should teach it as another tool, but brand new recruits, now I would just teach them get low, drag in line, but then number one, so that's an important question. Do you have difference between team leader qualification and number two?
Yeah.
Different?
Yeah.
Okay, so as I'm going through my recruitment, I pass out as basic recruit. I can't be team leader?
Depends.
On what?
On basic qualifications.
Okay. Like what?
Maybe some assessments, psychological.
Psychological? Well, you do psychological assessments?
Yeah.
For the team leader,
Yeah, for team leaders, for basic firefighters, for officers.
So do I have to pass a different level psychological assessment to be So I know there's a language barrier, and I appreciate you guys are trying really hard to keep with it, and I know I speak a bit quick. What's different with what psychological testing do you do? Second, what's different for a team leader?
Well, for team leader, how do you say it? We all have our different tasks.
Yeah.
And all those tasks are broken down into psychological tests.
Okay.
So for a basic firefighter, there are less complicated tasks which are being qualified. And for a crew commander, there's a plus. And for an officer, there's a more plus.
Okay.
And so on and so on.
So just as one example, what's one more complex task
Stress.
a team leader?
That.
So
coping
stress,
with
how?
stress.
Physical stress, mental stress?
No, more mental stress.
Mental.
As in decisions to make in there? Shall we go left, shall we go right, shall we go...
Decision making under pressure, so that's a very important one.
How do we test that?
There are the psychological tests for.
But like, is it a computer? Is it a written test? Is it a conversation?
Conversation, role playing.
Okay.
When where you're the manager of a distribution company, and on a day
many tasks, different priorities.
You have
which one I do first?
8 cars and driver calls you when a car's broken down. Okay, so we're down to 7. Then a call comes from a customer. He needs that package. within an hour, and you need to pick the fastest truck. So that kind of tests
And that would be for a senior firefighter.
for crew commander.
Yeah.
But crew commander is different because that person's in charge of the incident, aren't
Yeah.
they? But what the difference between a 2 and a 1?
In charge of the
Charge of the truck.
2 and a 1 are the
There's
same.
no difference.
There's no difference between
No.
BA1 and BA2.
No.
No,
Exactly.
Right, good.
everybody can be number 1 to number 4.
Good. I was going to say, because that's probably my fault, I didn't ask the question very well, but in a lot of places in the UK, you do firefighter development.
Just to be clear, what's
Yes,
the
sir.
team leader for you?
So the person that goes first, BA number 1. So if you two come to me and I'm giving you a brief and I go,
Okay.
I'll go, who's team leader? Who's number 1? And you'll go, I'm number 1. I'll go, right.
No, there's
You're
no
going to make a
difference.
direct path here. You're going to
Okay.
identify the stairs. And
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I'll ask him what other hazards I've identified. Because I'll say gas and electric are still live, high fire loading,
Yeah.
holes in the floor.
Yeah.
And I expect you both to know, but I'm talking to you as a team leader.
Yeah.
And when you pass normal firefighter development in some services, a lot of services, you can't be number 1. Sometimes they have to go do 6 months,
Oh, so
or they have to go have a number of live fires that you've been into before you can be in, not be in
okay,
charge,
yeah.
you can be in
Okay.
charge of the BA team.
Yeah.
I think that's flawed
Yeah.
because 1 and 2, you're in there,
Yeah,
you get confused,
their team.
you have heat stress,
Yeah.
you hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in charge now,
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
but I've just said you can't be in charge.
Yeah.
So how does that make any sense?
No.
There is
No.
you both, so
No.
you might be at the front, you might be on the branch,
Yeah.
but you both need to be able to do
Yeah.
all of the roles because it has to have that fail safe, it has to have
Yeah.
it has to have that fail safe to it.
Yeah.
Okay, what else was I thinking of? So we did a smoke alarms program. We spoke about door control.
Well, back to the SCBA
Yep.
salsa thing, Samar. We
Fireman shuffle.
Salsa, I love it. Salsa's good. We'll go salsa.
it was the combining of a lot of things
Together. Yeah, same
together.
way.
So stepping away from the hose reel, introducing low pressure hoses,
Yeah.
going from a 2-man internal attack team to a group of 4.
Yeah.
So with 4 you can be even as quick or maybe quicker with a low pressure hose than you do with 2-man on the high pressure hose.
But if you were only a 2-person crew,
yeah,
would you still go 38?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the excuse of people listening might be, well, we haven't got 4BA,
oh no,
so
No,
we
no.
can't do it.
no, still 2 is the minimum.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can drag a 38 with,
Yeah.
with a team of
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
What was I just going to ask you about then? Oh, something just came into my mind. Hose lines, simple thing. The tool that you use to make up your kit,
Yeah,
the big barrel I just saw you
Yeah.
using. What's that?
the bundle wheel.
The bundle wheel.
Bundle wheel.
Is that standard on every
no,
appliance?
it's
They just got that training school for lazy people.
it's an invention of a firefighter from this region.
Yeah.
And well,
There are several solutions.
Yeah,
in different regions in the Netherlands.
Yeah, we just put a stick in it and fold
Oh,
the
yeah.
stick.
I
full-
know.
yeah.
Yeah, because we have sticks on
Yeah.
every appliance where we have wading poles.
We
and
have
we're,
a construction on the side of our truck,
Yeah.
and we can turn it around.
like a windmill. That's
Yeah.
where a windmill comes from.
Well, we have the same things for hose testing. So when we've tested it at
Oh, yeah.
stores, we don't ask them to roll them up to the distributor around them. How do you pack your lines? So we've got hoses hung
Yeah.
at the back of this appliance. So this, for people can't see it on the camera, is the offside rear locker of this vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You've got hoses that are strapped up
Yeah.
and branches already inside them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that Cleveland method?
Uh,
How is that whole rose hold?
Yeah.
Is that Denver? Is that Cleveland? Do you know? It's okay if you don't.
No.
What do you call that method of making hose up?
We
This
don't-
is the-
we don't
this
have
is the
a name
O.
for it, but
This is the O.
Cleveland method sounds familiar.
That is a Cleveland
Yeah.
method, yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't bring it in, but we stole it. We saw it and used it for high-rise deployments, so you could put it on different bridgeheads or staircases, so you can lift out the
Yeah.
coils and move with it. But we've started to experiment with and look at different methods of packaging hose. Is that so you've got standard rolled hose,
yeah.
and then you've got these pre-made. So how many are pre-made at the back of a truck, and is that standard on appliances?
No, it isn't standard.
Okay.
Every fire region thinks of.
But what
thinks of it.
do we train here ideally? Because this is a training school,
Yeah.
fire engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are 2 sets of
2 sets of 2, so 4 hoses there?
Yeah.
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 So 2 lines of 2.
Yeah, and
Specifically
one
for
line
attack.
is
Because you have
40
two
meters,
teams.
2 times 2 ohm bundles.
Yeah.
Say that again, sorry.
So one attack line
Yeah.
going from the Y.
Divide and breach in, yeah.
It's one length of 20 meters,
You want to
and then
extend.
another one of 20 meters with a branch attached.
Okay. And that's always a set up 2 lines. So
Yeah.
So
would you always
you can take 2 teams
Yeah.
from one vehicle,
yeah.
2 lines.
Yeah, and go straight out and only have to manage it off 1 line.
Yeah.
This 70s?
75.
The 75?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many of them do you have on a fire engine?
16.
16?
Yeah.
And you only have 4
Yeah.
38s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's,
Okay.
that's some regulation for water transportation between the truck 1 and truck 2.
For like a water relay?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
feeding
Yeah.
feeding many trucks.
200 meters
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Awesome. I know I've got some more questions for you, but I can't remember what they've got down. My mind is going in 1,000 different directions. Look, I'm going to be here for a few days anyway, fellas, but I really appreciate that. I know it's a little bit of a language barrier, but really appreciate
problem.
it.
Oh,
Anything you think we've missed that you want to...
oh, I have a lot of questions also.
Please ask. I will get so much wrong and people will go, Pete knows nothing about the UK fire service. Ask me.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%, brother. I love it.
I have lots of questions. So.
Beautiful. Cheers, fellas. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.